Hour with Arnab Goswami.
Welcome back. The difference cannot be more stark. Even as I begin debate number one tonight, the world's biggest media mogul is being questioned, or let me say, properly grilled by British members of parliament. Not being spared, Rupert Murdoch has been answering one after the next direct, at times scathing questions by the parliamentary panel. While some questions might be awkward for the politicians in the UK Parliament, there is, at the heart of this, a transparency to this entire process that is missing in a similar situation here in our country. The cash for vote scam. One arrest of a small fry, that also yesterday, more than 1,000 days after the scam broke. Mr. Murdoch may not be forthcoming with his answers, but the point is he has been summoned and he has had to make himself available to the public, and the best part of it is all on television tonight, so people can take a call on whether he followed journalistic standards, whether Lakshman Rekhas of journalism were crossed, whether the fine line was crossed. What's happening here in India? Why can't JPCs be on television? Why can't the Cash Votes Parliamentary Committee hearings be on television? What's so wrong with that idea? Tonight, raising that debate, hopefully, towards some fruition, Chandan Mitra, editor-in-chief of The Pioneer, also wears a political hat as member of parliament of the BJP. Soli Sorabji, former Solicitor General of India. We have the very respected Kumar Ketkar, chief editor of Divya Marathi of Dainik Bhaskar, here in the studios with us. Sohail Seth, managing partner of Counselage, and columnist is with us. And Anirudh Bahal, who is one of India's foremost senior investigative journalists, works independently, is with us tonight. So, let me start the ball rolling. Chandan Mitra, you have a very transparent hearing going on. We have no transparent hearings here, which is why it's the court which has to do a, nudge action in every case. Do you agree?
Arnab, if I were to answer you candidly, I must tell you I'm confused on this. And I'm confused because there are pluses and minuses of allowing the media into parliamentary committee hearings. I have been in parliament now 7 years and I've served on at least 2 committees. We have arrived at so many decisions, particularly in the committee I was previously there, in the Rural Development Committee. We have cleared the NREG. We have actually gone through the land acquisition bill, which didn't get passed eventually. But all these committees, there was a certain consensus that evolved, and we took positions that were not strictly party positions. People talked freely. The moment you bring in media, I'm afraid there will be grandstanding. But at the same time, both as a journalist and as a parliamentarian, I do feel that on certain matters, there ought to be transparency. The JPC, not a JPC, it was just a Lok Sabha committee that went into this issue of cash for votes, I thought was totally non-transparent. It was partisan. It gave a report that actually was neither here nor there. And there have been other committees which ought to have been questioned, grilled by the parliamentarians in full public view. So really I must tell you that tonight, after watching the proceedings of the British Parliament, I'm confused, but I really can't say what we should follow, whether all committee hearings in India should be public or whether the Speaker should use his or her discretion to allow certain committee hearings which are very much in the public interest to be open to the media. Maybe we have to find a way in between.
No, question there is, question is of what's there to hide. Let me get in Sohail here. Sohail, what's there to hide? If Neera Nadia is making an appearance before the JPC, we want to know. If the cash for vote scam was going to subvert Indian democracy, we want to know what happened, because otherwise, 3 years later, we'll be told it was buried.
I think Chandan is partially right. I believe, Arnab, that where national security and national intelligence or terrorism issues are concerned, then some amount of in-camera proceedings are required. But otherwise, where there is direct impact on either the shape of citizenry that India is going to breed, or for that matter, the kind of democracy we practice, I'm a great believer that there needs to be probity and transparency, and haul people in front of television cameras and let them show themselves for what they really are. The cash for votes was a disaster in every which way. It subverted the democratic process. It compromised you and me as voters, because we really didn't matter. What mattered was a bunch of jokers who carried suitcases of money and tried to either save or subvert a logically honestly elected government. Look at the Murdoch situation.
They were not bunch
and I'll
of
tell you
jokers,
why this
Suhail.
won't
Sorry.
happen in
They
India.
were whistleblowers.
It won't happen
They
in
were
India
whistleblowers.
because our parliamentarians are unprepared, most of them. Our parliamentarians are busy scoring political brownie points, unlike what you saw with Cameron and with Ed Miliband, both of whom said that they needed to get to the bottom of this, not for the sake of British MPs, but for the sake of British democracy and to expose the
Suhail.
nexus between journalism and
Yes,
politics.
well,
So-
Arnab, I must point out.
No,
I think it's
Chandan
wrong to
Mitra, as I just
criticize
come to you, I
the
want to show
BJP
those
MPs.
pictures here tonight. Chandan
Yeah.
Mitra, 1 minute, because I have got some pictures
true.
there tonight. The story is breaking on our channel. You know, Murdoch's just been, there's been an attempt to attack him. And that prompted a break in the proceedings that's going on before the Parliament Committee. They've been suspended for some time. That's a distraction which has happened. And that's the person on the screen who you have there is the person who tried to attack Murdoch. We didn't really see Murdoch there. We saw his son look startled, look to his left where his father was sitting, and then move away. And our television feed of that has been interrupted. But I can say the pictures on the right-hand side of your screen are the pictures there of the man who attacked Murdoch, and the pictures on the left-hand side of your screen are pictures of Murdoch being attacked, that absolute moment. We don't know what really happened, whether Murdoch has at all been injured in the process, but he's been taken away and he's been questioned. Now, there'll be a lot of politicians in India who will be watching this and saying, see, that's what happens when you put it on television. You're going to have grandstanding. But I come back to the question, Chandan Mitra, that Suhail Seth is asking here. If there has been collusion, and I don't know what if there has been collusion between a political party and a channel to influence the political process, and if, as you say, that's towards a larger, greater purpose, have transparency over it. Have transparency over it.
No, you see, now this is not really the point. The point, I think, is where I would like to counter what Suhail said. He said, called our three MPs a bunch of jokers. It is something I take exception
I said
to.
some.
Suhail is a very good friend and he normally talks a lot of sense. I believe that those three people were whistleblowers. They were bribed, and when they had no other way, they took the money to Parliament and laid it on the table. Now, I think calling them a bunch of jokers is not fair. That's how the whole scam got unearthed. A whole country saw it. It was live on television from Parliament. So I think this is, they did a service. That it didn't, the probe didn't get anywhere till the courts intervened.
If that has been done,
we can discuss that.
If that has been done, Chandan Mitra, question is, just coming to Soli Sorabji, question to Kumar Ketkar is, if that has been done, why not have complete transparency over it?
Well, actually,
over the proceedings, because I want to know whether one single individual in the last 3 years, including, I must say, Chandan Mitra, the BJP or anyone in the media was trying to expose this, whether anyone really went hammer and tongs saying what happened to the investigation. Why was the Delhi police sleeping?
Yes.
Why did people really wanted to expose the ills of Indian democracy about the buying and selling of people? Why did they not broadcast the tape, and why were they quiet after that? And why did no political party take that up? That's what raises fears that no, there's some other interest in this. Kumar Ketkar.
Well, actually, Arnab, nobody is opposed to transparency, but let us not put the transparency on the track as if everything can be solved or everything can be sorted out by transparency.
Okay.
Even in Britain, let us not romanticize about Britain. And Britain had banned Lady Chatterley's Lover, Britain had banned Lolita, Britain had banned Spy Catcher book, and they did not allow even the excerpts of these books to be published by newspapers. So the evolution to up to the Murdoch, there has been an evolution of the so-called transparency. Perhaps India is not fully evolved, and that's why there is opposition. So it is not as if Britain has been throughout very transparent and throughout very open and throughout very democratic in its...
I'm talking of the present time. If there is
present situation in India and present situation in Britain cannot be compared, because Britain has evolved up to this point and India is evolving. Earlier, do you know, there was a debate whether question hour should be televised at all. But there was a big debate, and finally question hour was...
I'm not sure about this argument, because I don't know. I think it's just about taking a decision, isn't it? Let me put Soli Sorabji to it. How is it such a difficult thing to say that, you know, in India everybody is worried, and average citizens, say many watchers of News Hour tonight, about 99% of them will be concerned about the link between corporates and media. I'm just being clear about it. About how close media should be to politicians. When do you stop becoming a friend to a politician from becoming a source or using a politician as a source? That's the whole debate here. If the country is talking about it, people have a right to know. Soli Sorabji, more transparency, are you for it?
No, but I don't think we can lay down any absolutes. I suppose the question started with whether channels should be allowed in parliamentary proceedings, should be exposed to media reporting. Well, I think if the subject matter of the inquiry is such that it affects the whole nation, it concerns the nation. For example, cash for that scandal was clearly to subvert democracy. Now, in a matter of that importance, I don't see any reason why it should not be on television. Why shouldn't the people see what's going on? What are the answers given? Who are the people grilled or quizzed? I don't understand. Yes, generally it may be, as Chandan says, it's because of confusion. But as I said, don't make it an invariable rule one way or the other. Depends on the importance of the subject matter of the inquiry. And if the inquiry concerns the nation, as in this case, cash for votes, I don't see any reason why it should not be.
Yeah, because
the media shouldn't have it. Your other question, how close we should be to politicians, then again, for what purpose? You have to meet politicians. You have to really have contacts with them. How do you get information otherwise? But the main thing is either closeness to the politicians or closeness to the police. You must not indulge in wrongdoing, must not indulge in illegal criminal activity. That again, case-to-case basis. But that is a general caveat I would like to enter as far as the media is concerned. Be a watchdog. Don't be a lapdog. Don't be a rapid dog. You are a watchdog, and for that purpose, if you have to cultivate contacts with the police, so be it. If you have to cultivate contacts with the politicians in order to get information from them to expose some scam or scandal, so be it. It's an occupational hazard that the media faces. And it all depends how the media confronts it.
I think that's a valid point here, but you know, the whole question tonight is of transparency. Let me go across to Anirudh Bahl. Anirudh, do you think, let me put it to you simply, do you think it works if, say, political parties carry out sting operations and hand them on a platter to news channels? You do many sting operations yourself. Would you trust a political party that came to you with a setup situation and said, here, we are gifting you this particular sting operation, send your camera person and shoot it? Would you trust that situation?
No, I don't think there was any collusion of that kind which you talk about. And it was, I mean, if say, a political party came to me with particular valid information, as do all politicians come to journalists with planting stories. I'm sure lots of politicians have come to you with stories, and it is upon you to whether you choose to follow them or not, and to what extent you follow them up. But to coming to your point about this, why the channel, I mean, you were just saying earlier, why didn't they air it? I mean, it's an editorial call. If the burden of evidence is not there, it is purely an editorial call whether they should go with the story or not. And I purely trust media platforms here to take that call. I mean, you have to trust them at a certain point of time.
Do you?
And as regards, I'm perhaps the only panelist here who has appeared in JPC, in Joint Parliamentary Committees as a witness. And from my own experience, I speak both with the Rajya Sabha Committee and with the Lok Sabha Committee, that I think televised proceedings are really necessary there, because there was a certain amount of bias coming from the questions that were asked to me, and which would be exposed if the proceedings were sort of televised. I mean, I was asked questions about cash for questions. Both there was a whole ring of parliamentarians in the Lok Sabha Committee as well as the Rajya Sabha Committee, and it went on for a few hours. And I solely felt the need that some people should really see in the manner in which they were politically divided and coming at me with very sort of leading questions, political parties, so to speak. So I strongly feel that the proceedings should be televised.
But does
in
that...
fairness...
Yes, okay, Chandan Mitra.
Fairness, MPs have a right to grill you. No, I'm telling Anirudh that, you see, in all fairness, MPs have a right to grill you, just as you have a right to grill MPs. So
I'm not questioning the right to grill me. I'm saying that grilling process should be televised.
I mean, do always journalists televise when they grill politicians?
This is on television.
I think, you know, television journalists, one thing, many things are said off the record. The TV journalists also switch off their cameras. Print journalists switch off their dictaphones. I know these things happen.
No, question is, Chandan Mitra.
Completely one-sided view.
No, question is...
But where is it?
One sec. Question is this. I'm going to Madhu Trehan. I'm then coming back to you, sir. Question is, as Soli Sorabji said, some issues are issues of national interest. So if you have issues which, you know, people should not feel used. The people of this country will feel used otherwise. They'll feel, okay, some parts of the media do stories when it suits them. don't air the stories when it doesn't suit them. Some political parties go for sting operations when it suits them, are happy not to have the sting operations aired when it doesn't suit them. Bribe givers, bribe takers, then their agents are all together at the end of it, and there's one big collusion.